You're watching ABC 7 News at 7.
Forget Rick Scott, forget Bill Nelson, the U.S. Senator. If you're a Democrat in Florida, you want the governor. The governor appoints 4,000 seats across the state of Florida. They can absolutely be transformational for the Democratic Party.
We've discussed local races like the school board and congressional races. Tonight, we focus on the governor's race. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on the governor's race in a moment, but first, our top stories at 7. Sarasota City Clerk and Auditor is on the hot seat as city commissioners launch an investigation into charges of harassment. A third party would look into complaints against Pamela Natalini. She is accused of harassing managers and criticizing employees after she received 22 negative evaluations from employees in 2017. Commissioners will look at the cost of outside investigators.
A lot of the comments talk about just a really abusive work environment with, poor treatment, poor training, making people cry.
I think it's appropriate that the City Commission have an independent outside investigator take a look at the issue so that we can clear the air. We need to clear the air.
We'll have more on the meeting coming up tonight at 11. A local Pee Wee football team coach is under arrest, charged with drugs and weapons charges. Edgar Thelia was pulled over by detectives after failing to stop at a red light. Manatee Sheriff's deputies say he claimed he was delivering football equipment to the Pee Wee League. He coaches, but detectives say they found several bags of marijuana and a loaded gun inside the car. Thelia was arrested and charged with possession with intent to distribute and possession of a firearm. We have seen what red tide has done to our beaches throughout Florida, including here on the Suncoast. Today, the City of Venice held a special meeting to answer questions residents have about exactly what's causing the toxic bloom to stick around for so long. The City Council will now be discussing all the new alternatives to help reduce pollution throughout Venice and come up with a concrete plan this month. Meanwhile, Mote Marine will be asking for additional state funding to conduct more research on exactly what is causing the bloom to be so strong this year. Wells Fargo is shutting down the campaign bank account of a Democratic candidate, Nikki Fried, who is running for agricultural commissioner because she took contributions from lobbyists representing the medical marijuana industry. Fried opened a campaign account with Wells Fargo in June, shortly after qualifying for the statewide cabinet race, but within weeks, officials with the financial giant notified her campaign staff they needed to close the account because of her links to the marijuana industry.
I am not touching the plant. I am not selling the plant. I'm not producing the plant. I'm simply advocating for the expansion of medical marijuana, and that was the reason for closing me down.
A Wells Fargo spokesperson said the bank could not comment directly on Fried's account, but it's Wells Fargo's policy not to knowingly bank or provide services to marijuana businesses for activities related to those businesses based on federal law. More than 1 million voters have cast ballots in the state's crucial primary election. The Florida Division of Elections website says so far more than 861,000 voters have mailed in their ballots. Nearly 163,000 people have voted at early voting polling places. Early voting is underway in all 67 counties. Florida's primary is August 28th. The top races are the gubernatorial primaries, but there is also cabinet primaries, as well as many contested congressional races. There are also more than 13 million registered voters in the state, so make sure you get out there and vote. Now let's head over to ABC 7's Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. First alert forecast. Bob, did you vote yet?
Not yet, but we'll vote during the actual election. That's what I do most of the time anyway, but that mail-in vote is a pretty good idea, obviously, for folks who can't get to the booths. You can see this frontal boundary here. It's changing things up a little bit as far as the weather goes. You can see we've had some pretty big storms down to our south. That has now shifted east, and even that's weakening. But there are numerous outflow boundaries that continue to kind of move through the area. So we can expect a few scattered showers to pop up along the coast later on this evening as some of those boundaries work their way in. Still plenty of energy around from the daytime heating today. Highs were in the low 90s, and it looks like similar conditions anticipated tomorrow. Still a little bit of rain winding down here into South Sarasota and also into northwest Charlotte County near Port Charlotte. A few lightning strikes there along I-75. Not much going on now in Northport. fairly quiet there after some pretty big storms around earlier. You can see the rain that was around into Hardee and DeSoto counties also starting to weaken, although still pretty heavy just north of Arcadia at this time, but not nearly as intense as it was as far as that lightning goes. And it looks like that will be winding down here in the next half hour or so as well. We are anticipating less of a chance for rain tomorrow, and the temperature now 86 degrees. We have a few clouds around. Heat index at one point was at 100 today. Winds are out of the southeast at 15. That's what I mean by those boundaries that are moving through in and out across the area. We'll generate some isolated showers near the coast through this evening. If you don't have the app by now, you should have it. It's a great tool for the rest of this hurricane season as we enter into the official peak of this hurricane season. We'll have much more on that coming up a little bit later, but you want to go to your app store, search WWSB, First Alert Weather, and there you will find it for free. Alan?
Bob, thank you. There are several heated races in the August primaries, but few could have an impact on Florida quite like the governor's race. ABC 7's Adam Cellini spoke with local party members about the frontrunners now that early voting is underway. Adam.
Yeah, Alan, thank you very much. So far, over 60,000 ballots have been filled out between Sarasota and Manatee counties, but around 90% of the voters on the Sun Coast have yet to make a final decision. Floridians face a tough choice for the next governor, but first they'll have to whittle down the candidates in the August primaries.
The governor in Florida is very, very, very important. It is a governor with tremendous amounts of power.
8 names are on the Republican ballot, but it really gets down to 2. Adam Putnam, Florida's Commissioner of Agriculture since 2011, and Ron DeSantis, a Navy veteran representing Florida's 6th congressional district.
I think they're both solid. I don't think we'd have a problem, and I know we're not going to have a problem at the governor's race.
Sarasota Republican Nick Altier sums up the choices for Suncoast voters who have seen Putnam several times, but maybe know less about DeSantis, an East Coast congressman since 2013.
You have a proven track record, an honest, good person who's done a great job in office, and then you have a new face.
A new face many believe trailed Putnam in fundraising and approval rating for months, until
everybody needs to support Ron DeSantis.
The president visiting Tampa on Putnam's 44th birthday to endorse his opponent. And as Tampa radio host Dan Maduri believes, condemning the longtime politician.
They stopped just short of bringing a coffin out on stage. Like, that was the end of Adam Putnam's political career.
Putnam has since trailed DeSantis, at times by a wide margin in the polls. But as early voting begins, some think it's back to a dead heat.
The entire game regarding politics has changed. I don't think there's any advantage. You know, I think it's like it's always been in the sense that the best man wins, but I think it's changed in the fact that somebody like DeSantis can throw their hat in the ring and have a chance.
Democrats may face a tougher choice. It's been 24 years since the party occupied the governor's mansion, and 5 of the 7 declared candidates are drawing attention in the polls.
And that would be a total recalibration of the machine here in the state of Florida, and it would be transformational for the Democratic Party.
Manatee County Democrats were the first to host a forum for the candidates early in the race. Since then, real estate billionaire Jeff Green is the only one who has not sent any pamphlets to the party's Bradenton headquarters. In the meantime, Chris King, Miami Beach Mayor Philip Levine, and Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum have made regular stops.
Even though we are lesser numbers of Democrats in Manatee County than there are in the other party, in a statewide race, our votes go in the same tally.
Party Chair Cheryl Wilson says Gillum, who was endorsed by Bernie Sanders on Friday, has a strong local following. But despite a national endorsement from the group Indivisible, most local branches on the Suncoast say he's not their first choice.
People decided we're not going to endorse anyone in this primary. We're just going to recommend Gwen Graham because we think she has a better chance of winning.
Gwen Graham's resume in Congress and name recognition as the daughter of former Governor Bob Graham have turned her into a favorite. But Maduri thinks fundraising could be her downfall.
When it comes to fundraising, she'll only be able to raise maybe 50, 60, on a good day, $70 million.
He feels Democrats should pick a candidate like Levine or Green with a big bank to battle the cash-heavy Republicans in November. A thought that weighs heavy on the mind of Wilson, but doesn't affect her advice to local voters.
I would tell them you vote for the person that's going to be the best governor.
Early voting continues through this Saturday evening, and Election Day is Tuesday, August 28th.
Adam, thank you. In the moment, the chair of the Sarasota Republican Party. He is a former legislator, political analyst, and political science professor, and one of the most accomplished political reporters in the area at the Trapezoid.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
If you think it's hot outside, just wait until you see even hotter savings inside. Only at Rugs As Art Hot Summer Savings Sale event will you find the lowest prices on a vast selection of stunning rugs, furniture accents, and accessories. This special event only happens once a year, so hurry in before the best selections are gone. The Hot Summer Savings event ends soon, so don't miss out on the best prices ever. Rugs As Art, Sarasota's only area rug superstore.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
How do you open tough jar lids? Do you try this one? Or this one? Or how about this one?
Honey?
This is the future. Shouldn't there be a robot for this by now? There is. Introducing RoboTwist, the robotic jar opener that easily twists off even the toughest lids. Just set it down, press the button, and watch it work. First, the RoboStrong vise locks down tight. Then the powerful twisting action unscrews the lid. RoboTwist is yours for the special introductory price of just $19.99. That's right, the robotic jar opener that easily twists off even the toughest lids. All for just $19.99. Whether the jar is big or small, RoboTwist can open them all. Supplies are limited, so don't delay. Here's how to get yours today.
Call 1-800-347-1073. That's 1-800-347-1073. Or order online at buyrobotwist.com.
Welcome back. This could be one of the most competitive races for governor in years. Thanks to President Trump, Democrats are motivated like perhaps never before. And with a week to go, several candidates, including Gwen Graham, Philip Levine, Andrew Gillum, are within points of each other in the latest poll. On the Republican side, wow. Adam Putnam has been running for governor for what seems like his entire adult life. But he was late for the Trump train, and Ron DeSantis was all aboard, and as a result, the president gave the nod to him, and the base seems to have followed. Joining us for more are Joe Greeters, the chairman of the Sarasota Republican Party, former state representative Keith Fitzgerald, and Jacob Ogles, the political editor of SRQ magazine. So Joe, let me start with you. I know in your position you can't take sides there, but what are you seeing? Because the polling, especially after the president was here and endorsed Ron DeSantis, showed the congressman jumping out to a considerable lead, and now there's some polling that shows that Putnam is catching up again.
Well, it shows you how powerful the president is with his endorsement. And I think when the president came, I think Ron DeSantis opened up a 20-point lead. And most people probably didn't even know who Ron DeSantis was. He's a conservative congressman from Northeast Florida. He's done a good job, and he's on Fox News all the time defending the president, does a great job. And here you have, he's running against Adam Putnam, who's been Florida's local guy and you're right, he's been running his entire adult life, the last 20-something years, and he's never really made any mistake. He's a great candidate, and now the polls show it's somewhat even. I don't know if I believe it because it's one poll, but it's Adam Putnam has a lot of support, but Ron DeSantis has a lot of support.
So what do? Do you get the president to try to come back?
I think if I'm Ron DeSantis, I'd try to do everything I can to get him to come back, or try to at least tweet out a couple more times, or give him a shout out on TV one time. And I think if you're Adam Putnam, you're doing everything you possibly can. Your whole career is on the line. What do? You have to have all your friends, anybody who knows the president, try to talk to him and say, please don't come back, because if he comes back, I'm toast.
Jacob, you know, I've had a lot of local Republicans, and I won't name names, who have really kind of not appreciated the president inserting himself into a Republican primary. They've been on board with Adam Putnam for a long time, and but the base does not necessarily agree. They're listening to what the president says.
Well, if you look at polls, about 80% of registered Republicans strongly approve of the president right now. So you really are seeing, and you've seen it in primaries all across the country, the bench for the Republican Party getting remade sort of in Trump's image. Now, I think the question of whether that's going to endure is going to depend on Republican Party's success in November. And we'll see. I mean, if DeSantis becomes the nominee but doesn't deliver in November, then it might cause a lot of backlash. But then again, this could all validate and pan out in the end.
We have less than a minute here, but I mean, I have had a number of Republicans come up to me and say, if DeSantis is the nominee and Gwen is the nominee on the Democratic side, you might have your first Democratic governor in 20 years.
I think that Ron DeSantis is not as good a general election candidate as Adam Putnam, but that doesn't mean that he's destined to lose the general election. We're going to have to see what happens.
Okay, we're going to discuss this much more in a moment. Next, the Democratic side. Our conversation on the race for governor continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob, I'd vote for you any day.
I tell you what, weather has been pretty nice for the most part, Alan. Thanks. Lakewood Ranch webcam showing fair weather cumulus clouds out there, but then as we move through time, you'll notice the last few frames here are starting to darken up a bit due to the storms that were around, especially in our interior counties this afternoon. You can see some of that action there, the debris clouds coming overhead, and we will see an isolated storm or two pop up near the coast. High pressure is going to get bumped down to our south again due to this guy, a cold front pushing to the southeast. It's going to get all the way down into north portions of Georgia, and that will eventually fade away there, but it'll be close enough to us to force that high pressure ridge down near Key West, and that brings us that westerly flow with a clockwise flow around that area of high pressure in the northern hemisphere. Rainfall, well, was heavy at times. Now it is moving on for the most part, but as I said, we could see a few isolated cells popping up this evening later on near the coast. 2.3 inches there in southwestern portions of DeSoto County, 1.3 near Port Charlotte, Northport. Also getting some pretty heavy rainfall. I mentioned the winds. The winds will be picking around and switching around back to the east during the overnight hours, and then you'll start to see a sea breeze kick in again in the afternoon. So one more day of typical Florida weather, although we won't see many storms around. That's atypical, but that west sea breeze will develop in the afternoon, and then we'll get more of a west-southwesterly wind, looks like through much of the rest of the work week. As far as the futurecast goes, a few showers are possible, as I mentioned, especially down to our south. Then after midnight, skies will clear out of here. We'll look for mostly fair skies overnight, with low temperatures dropping down to close to seasonal averages in the mid-70s. Notice to start the day off on Tuesday, not much going on at all near the coast. Pretty quiet there, but on Wednesday we'll start to see a little action here developing right around sunrise and then pushing onshore as that high repositions itself down to our south. But for the time being, we're not expecting a lot of storms tomorrow. Well, the shear forecast, all important in determining whether hurricanes and tropical systems are developing. You'll notice all throughout the Caribbean through Tuesday and Wednesday, it's blue, and that's a hostile environment for tropical development. And that's going to stay around, too, through Thursday and Friday and even into Saturday. And this is the case, I think. Long-range models are showing that the shear is going to stay strong through the Caribbean and the main development region for hurricanes throughout most of the month of September. With a little bit better conditions for forming in the Gulf of Mexico. So that's something to keep an eye on as we make our way through the peak of hurricane season. 84 degrees right now. It's 90. That's what it feels like. We have a few clouds around, and the pressure is still pretty high. Winds will be out of the southeast, switching to the southwest tomorrow at 5 to 10 knots, so not a big wind. And the 7-day forecast, just a few showers scattered about tomorrow afternoon. A better chance to see one or two lone showers in the morning on Wednesday. We'll see partly cloudy skies throughout much of the day. Same goes true for Thursday. 50% chance for scattered storms. Most of that will be inland, but again, I mentioned that morning activity is going to be rather prevalent, I think, over the upcoming days, Wednesday through Friday. Alan will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with the family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, canoeing, camping, and more. Or challenge yourself on Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, enjoy a Deep South dining experience. Book your adventure in one of our members' lodges or stay at the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
Imagine a world filled with pillow fights, playgrounds, and the search for the perfect climbing tree. Every kid deserves that world, but 1 in 5 kids in America struggle with hunger. At No Kid Hungry, we're committed to creating a world where every kid eats healthy food every day. We raise funds, we help families, and we lift up communities.
The skills you develop as a soldier in the Army National Guard can give you a head start on your career. Gain practical experience with technology and equipment that will give you a leg up in the civilian world. Learn critical leadership skills and to be part of a team. Serve your community and your country part-time while earning money for an education. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn about the paid training and career opportunities available to you in the Army National Guard.
About every 3 minutes in America, someone is diagnosed with a blood cancer. Light the Night brings together survivors and supporters to bring light to the darkness of cancer and to help fund life-saving research. Our goal is a world without blood cancers, and we're lighting the path to cures. The discoveries made in blood cancer research have led to breakthrough treatments for many cancers and other serious diseases. Help defeat the darkness of cancer. Join Light the Night today.
The body, it is a work of art and a powerful ally in the fight against cancer. A new approach called immunotherapy works by helping our immune system correctly identify and eradicate many types of cancer cells. Speak with your doctor and visit su2c.org/immunotherapy to learn more. Your body might just be your greatest hope.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
Welcome back. We are talking about the governor's race, and joining us for more are Joe Gruters, the chairman of the Sarasota Republican Party, former state representative Keith Fitzgerald, and Jacob Ogles, the political editor of the SRQ magazine. Let's talk about the Democratic side for a bit. And our friend Peter Schorsch at Florida Politics wrote something this way today. With 8 days before the election day in the race for the Democratic nomination for Florida, 3 candidates, including a surging Andrew Gillum, are separated by just 6 points. Keith, we should disclose you're actually helping Mayor Levine of Miami Beach, but still that is pretty incredible.
Yeah, and it's a close race, and I know people within various different campaigns, so I can tell you that everybody is biting their nails. It's a tough race. I think Philip Levine has probably stuck a nose out in front, but it is a nose, and we have a lot of undecided voters to go.
It depends who you talk to, but Jacob, let me ask you, what's happened here? Because it seems over the last couple of weeks, Gwen Graham really kind of built out a lead. Now you had Jeff Green, the billionaire from West Palm Beach, come into the race, launch a lot of negative ads. Yes. And, you know, Philip Levine was kind of, I'm sorry, was a little bit written off for dead a couple of weeks ago because he sank behind them. What's happened?
I think Jeff Green is the story of this race in a lot of ways. He came in, he's a South Florida billionaire. He started to cut into Levine's base just because of that. But then when he went so negative on Graham, it cost Graham some points. On the flip side, though, his name has been attached to every one of those smear campaigns that he's put on. That may work in a 2-person primary, but when you've got a 5-man field, to go that negative, some of that stink's going to rub off on you. So Green is sunk in the polls, even as he's taking Graham down with him.
And Keith, in terms of Mayor Levine's situation, at least after that happened, he still had the money, because he is a wealthy man himself, to stay on television and keep that message of his going.
Yeah, and he's has a very fulsome campaign, so he's grinding things out in a very professional way. They've knocked on 250,000 doors, and they have 150 people in 14 different field staffs, so I think it's a very solid campaign. I don't think he really fell back that far, but I think otherwise you're absolutely right. That Green has just fallen back. He's finished, just like in a horse race. And Andrew Gillum, I'm a big fan of him, but he cannot get to the finish line.
Well, let me ask you, Jacob, because Mayor Gillum has got, Bernie Sanders was in Florida last week for him. There seems to be a lot of outside money that is for Gillum, and this says he actually is closing.
Well, the liberal wing of the party has started to consolidate around Gillum. The question is this all too little too late? Because, a week ago, he was still polling at around 11. I don't know that he can actually carve in or get that many undecided voters, especially considering he represents such a ideological extreme of the party.
And we're going to talk about more of that in just a moment. We are just getting warmed up on our conversation on the race for governor. We'll continue right after a quick break, so stay with us.
Hello, Mom.
Amanda's mom's appointment just got rescheduled for today. Amanda needs Right at Home. Our customized care plan provides as much or as little help as her mom requires, whether it's a ride to the doctor or help around the house.
Oh, of course. Tom, I am really sorry. I've got to go.
Look, call Right at Home. Get the right care right at home.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With Guaranteed Acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TruStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TruStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with Guaranteed Acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
We've been fighting the war on drugs for a long time. We answer the phone 24/7, 365 days a year. On a busy night, we answer hundreds of calls. This war on drugs needs our intervention.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has helped people struggling with drugs and alcohol.
When the phone rings, we help people when they need it the most. When we get a caller into treatment, it feels right. It feels good. It's a blessing.
If you're struggling, drinking, using, and need to get clean, don't suffer alone in silence. Call Addiction Hope and Helpline.
Our people understand, and many are also in recovery. Call for support and strength. You can call for someone who can't or isn't willing. It's an act of love. Together we can help you beat this thing and erase addiction from your vocabulary once and for all.
Call 800-871-1644. 800-871-1644.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system could make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now, SoClean.com has released the world's first automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs and bacteria. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer, risk-free for 30 days. Just call
800-604-0398.
The SoClean works, and it's a really effective product, and I couldn't believe how easy it was to use.
SoClean works on all popular CPAP machines and masks, destroying CPAP germs and bacteria without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and walk away. Voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited-time offer. Call now,
800-604-0398.
or visit SoClean.com today.
Welcome back. We are talking about the governor's race, and joining us for more are Joe Gruters, the chairman of the Sarasota Republican Party, former state representative Keith Fitzgerald, and Jacob Ogles, the political editor of SRQ magazine. And Jacob, let me start with you this time, because this is what you hear, that the Democrats, because of the anti-Trump sentiment, how motivated the Democrats are, may well have the best chances in years to win the governor's mansion. You know, traditionally, over at least the last 8 years, the Democrats don't do that well in the midterms, but is this the year that that might change?
Well, two things. One, every year seems to be the year that the Democrats have the best shot at the governor's mansion until they lose it. So we'll see what happens there. The last two midterms were when Obama was in the White House, and just naturally, you always see people turning out from the opposition party of the president with some passion in the midterms. Trump certainly elicits a lot more passion even than normal among the opposition party. So yes, I think there's a strong chance that you're going to see much better Democratic turnout this year.
Let me throw that at you, because there is a difference between here on the Sun Coast, which you have more Republican voters, and statewide, where there are more Democratic voters. So is it the issue of who is in the White House now, and that you have to prepare yourself, at least on a statewide basis, that you have a motivated Democratic electorate out there?
I think the Democrat base is certainly motivated. You can see, just look at the Sarasota results right now. They're winning the absentee ballots. The Republicans are winning in early voting, but it's not nearly enough to make up that gap from the absentee ballot advantage that they have. In November, I think it's going to come down to who ends up being our nominees, and I think it's going to be how exciting these candidates are. I personally hope that Gwen Graham is the Democrat nominee, because I think that she lacks the real charisma and enthusiasm, and I think that as a result, our candidates and our the base will be more motivated to go out and vote.
But Joe, I'll say it again. I have talked to a lot of your colleagues who have said that if Gwen Graham is the Democratic nominee and DeSantis is the Republican nominee, they may well think that a Democrat could actually win this year.
And they did this. They said the same thing when they said, when people were wondering if Donald Trump was going to win our nomination and ended up being our nominee for president. I think that Ron DeSantis will do a great job of motivating the base if he is our nominee. I think that people underestimate him, but I think that once he's let go, I mean, I think there's a lot of room for him to continue to grow, and I think people will rally behind him, because ultimately, in your opening, you said it right. There's 4,000 positions that are decided as a result of who wins the governor's race. Every one of these judicial appointees are being picked by the governor that come up. All the university boards, it's incredible the power and the reach that the governor has. It's so important. So I think our base will be motivated because we understand. And on top of that, they said whoever controls the governor's mansion has potentially a 2-point advantage in the presidential race. And when Florida could be the key state in the 2020 election, I think we're going to do all we can to make sure we win.
Keith, I would imagine that you would actually agree with a lot of what Joe just said.
Well, I agree with a lot of it. I think also Levine will do well as well, because he is a business guy as well as somebody with public experience. He is not an extremist. He's actually a pragmatist. So I think that, DeSantis would be a gift for the Democrats, and I think the Republicans know that. And as far as the motivation is concerned, it is true that these appointments are important, but you don't really motivate the base because of who they're appointing to the bog. On the other hand, the Democrats have Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. That's going to motivate their people.
But what about to Joe's point or to actually Jacob's point, that Democrats have been saying this for years, that this is the year, and it really has not turned out that way? Why is, as they say on Passover, why is this night different than any other night?
Yeah, well, let's not break out the wine, but yeah, so first of all, you have to look at each one of those races. If you go back to the last several years, I think 7 statewide elections, the difference between the two parties is 50,000 votes. So these are really close elections, and then you have to look at each one. Particularly, 2010 was an awful year for Democrats across the country. If you look at the dynamics of that, it sets up very similarly, except this time to the Democrats' advantage.
So and Scott only won by, remind me, something like 60,000 votes?
Yes.
In a bad year.
In a bad year. And yeah, and it's a very similar kind of a candidate. I think correctly perceived as a radical and extremist. The Democrats are likely to put up Levine or Graham, a moderate. I think it's a bad deal for the Republicans.
Jacob, how engaged are voters in this race right now? Because there's a lot going on, basically in our national conversation, and then also locally. We have the U.S. Senate race. We have a lot of congressional races. Have voters yet started focusing on who they want from either party?
I think a lot of it's going to change at the end of the night next Tuesday. I think there are a lot of voters who are really not interested in getting into the personality wars that come with the primaries and are going to start really actively engaging in this race after nominees are set. And, you know, I did want to mention, because he mentioned Levine being a pragmatic candidate, the two frontrunners on the Democratic side are both very much moderate pragmatists who are trying to sell practical effects. Gwen Graham's message is, we haven't won in 20 years, elect me because I've won in a red district.
Does that necessarily motivate the progressives in the party who are fired up, but want somebody finally to start, you know, promoting their issues?
I think it's a question of, do they need to be fired up? I think what you're going to have Democrats doing is running on the advantage of already having a president that's got their blood boiling in the base, and then having somebody run with a practical message to balance that out and say cooler heads can still win while our blood is hot.
Okay, let me ask you all an interesting question. When it comes to the Suncoast, which candidates have worked the hardest to win the vote in the governor's race of voters on the Suncoast, starting with the Republican candidates, Joe?
Well, I'll say there's no question Adam Putnam. He's probably been here 10 times as our speaker over the 10 years that I've been chairman. And one other thing about the advantage the Republicans have in November, we have 1,000 people a day moving here from other states, mainly high-tax states, and the track record of the conservative leadership in Tallahassee, you know, we have the lowest bond rating in the country. We are the best place to do business. We have the best higher education. Across the board, Republican leadership has done amazing things over the last 10 years, and you can debate that, but at the end of the day, the numbers are the numbers, and I think that will lead us to victory no matter what happens.
All right, let me give Keith a chance to respond to that. Is it true that, you know, for everybody who's retiring to Florida, they're all going to vote Republican, Keith?
I don't think the numbers really bear out that it's a huge advantage. The high tax thing, okay, so people who have a lot of accumulated wealth may lean Republican, but we're pulling people in across the board. We're doing pretty well economically. I don't think that that's necessarily true. And the other thing is, if you just look at registrations, we're doing pretty well.
And let me ask you the same question I asked Joe in terms of who has worked the hardest on to win Democrats on the Suncoast. You know, obviously you're working with Mayor Levine there, but you've seen the entire picture.
Right, and I mainly do the policy stuff, so I haven't been in charge of any political stuff. Of course, Levine was here 2 weeks in a row, so he looks prominently like he's working this place pretty hard. I know the other candidates have been here as well, so I really haven't kept score of who's here the most. Again, I would go back to one thing I think Levine's sort of a sleeper quality of his campaign that people may be missing is just how extensive his ground game is. It's really impressive.
Well, Jacob, let me give you an opportunity to game that out. And I may be wrong about this, but I don't think I am. The only Democratic candidate I don't think who has come to the Suncoast has been Jeff Green. He was supposed to come last week. He had some plane problems. He was supposed to be here on the trapezoid.
He was supposed to talk with me that night. He canceled on a lot of us. Maybe we shouldn't bring that too hard against him, but
he's advertising with a lot of bucks on this television station.
Yeah, he sure is, and I think that that's been the part of the Green campaign, is to blast the airwaves and the mailboxes. So it's not so much about flesh-to-flesh stuff. Now, I think that every other candidate has made a lot of appearances here. Levine was just here engaging with voters for quite some time over the weekend. Gillum is coming here later this week. I was at a rally at the Francis just a couple weeks ago with Gwen Graham, packed room. So I think that there's a lot of effort on the Democratic side. Certainly Adam Putnam is the lead of grassroots campaigning.
Quickly, because when you look at the Republican race, a lot of the hierarchy in the Republican Party is really kind of for Adam Putnam. Mm-hmm. On the Democratic side, can you say the same thing in terms of where are the leaders of the Democrats privately in the governor's race?
Ooh, I mean, I'm not sure there is such monolithic feeling on that side. Certainly the family connections of the Grahams, her father was governor and senator here, that has a lot of weight with a lot of the older voters. Beyond that, I don't know. There's a thin bench on the Democrats historically for the last 20 years.
We have to take a quick break, and we'll be back for final thoughts in a moment, so stay with us.
There's nothing like this trail in Alabama. It just goes from the northern part of the state to the southern part of the state. We see all kind of different terrains, great value, great fun. We've been coming for 18 years. We started off with a group of 8, grew to 12, and grew to 16. And we love it because where else can you get world-class golf courses with world-class accommodations? To be able to play these type of courses in this environment, and the difficulty keeps us coming back over and over and over again.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP is the largest locally owned CPAP supply company in the area. Is it time to replace your old equipment? The staff at Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP can show you the most up-to-date CPAP equipment and supplies to meet your sleep apnea needs, including portable travel devices and the SoClean automatic CPAP sanitizer. We serve all of Southwest Florida, giving the highest quality of care with the finest CPAP equipment. Please visit our website, sarasotacpap.com.
What do you get when you cross your tired, aching back with this fragile egg? The Egg Sitter Cushion, an amazing new flex cushion that supports your backside and spine so well you can sit on an egg without breaking it. Incredible!
You want me to sit on this egg? Okay. I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't even feel it. It didn't even break? Oh, I was wondering about that. Now that's a good cushion.
The honeycomb design is constructed of Elasticor that absorbs pressure points by collapsing in on itself. That's why even this egg won't break under direct pressure. Now long days at the office will be more comfortable, dinner more enjoyable, and painful car rides a thing of the past. Get your Egg Sitter Support Cushion for just $39.99. It comes with a free non-slip washable cover and our 10-year comfort guarantee. But wait, call right now and you can get a second cushion. Just pay separate fee. Call now.
Call 1-800-232-1564. That's 1-800-232-1564. Call now or go to eggsitter.com. Order now.
And our guest joining us right now for final thoughts. So, Joe, we are a week out from the Republican primary here for a governor. I mean, pick your poll in terms of what you believe in here, but do you think that there's still potential for a lot of volatility on the Republican side?
Listen, again, at the beginning of your segment, you said 90% of the voters in Sarasota and Manatee have not made up their mind yet. And I think that it's likely that people are waiting because just look at what's happened here on the local level. You don't know what's going to happen at the end of these races. I think a lot of people, traditionally Republicans, want to wait because they feel the patriotic duty of voting, so they go out and they vote on Election Day. I think that this race is open. I think DeSantis has a clear advantage at this point with the President of the United States backing him. But if there's anybody that could beat him, it's probably Adam Putnam.
Keith, it almost reminds me of a baseball season because a lot of these candidates have been out there for 2 years now, and we're down to the last 7 days and divided by just maybe a couple of points. What's going on here?
Well, I always like to think about horse races. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, and you know, at the beginning of the race, everybody's sort of positioning. They're trying to find a lane, and they want to make that final run. Now on the Democratic side, you have a bunch of candidates who have a real shot at it, and so it's a race to the wire. And it's impossible to predict what's going to happen, so it's very exciting. One thing I will say that the Democrats have going for them is that most of the candidates like each other, their staffs like each other, and there'll be a lot of unity with whoever wins after the election.
I saw this picture in the paper today with Jeff Green and Philip Levine and poor Senator Graham in the middle. They didn't look like they were liking each other
I said most of the
too much.
candidates.
Jacob, let me ask you this. On both sides here, how much does electability play into this in terms of voters going for who they believe is the most electable and not necessarily who the president likes or who gives the most passion on the Democratic side?
I think that passion is driving voters a lot more than it did maybe a decade ago, where people seem to be doing a lot of calculus in their heads in terms of electability. But I'm not sure. I think that the truth of the matter is people have started to look at the presidential elections and realized the candidates that get the emotion going tend to win, and that sets the tone for the rest of the country.
Less than a minute, but how important is this race for presidential politics? Real quick, Joe.
Well, like I said, I think it's a +2 for 2020. Whoever controls the governor's mansion in Florida has probably a 2-point advantage.
I agree with that. It's hugely important. The presidential elections have been crazy close in Florida for a long time. This could make the difference.
Boy, that was a lot of fun. We'll talk about the Senate race next week. We want to thank our guests, Joe Gruters, the chairman of the Sarasota Republican Party, former state representative Keith Fitzgerald, and Jacob Ogles, political editor of SRQ Magazine. When we return, the jury deliberations continuing in the federal trial of Paul Manafort, and President Trump commenting on what he thinks of his former campaign chair's trial. But right now, let's get a final check on our first alert forecast from the guy we're voting for, Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
I'm voting for this red tide to get out of here, okay? Get out of here quick, right? Venice, from Barb Wilson, some storm clouds in the upper levels there. Venice had some rain near Jacaranda and also Plantation, but all that rain has since moved on. This is a look at one of the outflow boundaries coming overhead. You'll see generally fair skies. These are the high cirrus clouds blown off from the tops of those storms. There goes an outflow boundary. Not much to it, though. Not doing a whole lot. It may kick off some storms out in the Gulf of Mexico here in the next hour or so as it collides with some warm, moist air out there. Now, high pressure, the big story, it's drifting southward and will set up to our south, which will give us that west to southwest wind, and we can expect the morning showers and storms around, even some overnight activity. With this westerly pattern beginning Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night. I think by the weekend, though, we get back into more of an easterly component. Some big storms now. Look at this near Hillsborough County, stretching up toward Bloomingdale, and the heavy storms and rain there drifting off to the north. That just gives you a little indication of these boundaries that are floating around, and we could see one or two fire up here. In the tropics, all is quiet, which is really unusual, and that's due to some very chilly water out here, much cooler than average. Although it warmed a little bit throughout early August, it hasn't warmed up to nearly where it should be right now. And it's pretty much void of any kind of clouds out there for the most part. And in the Caribbean, the same story. We had a pretty big storm we were watching east of the Windward Islands just last week, and there's nothing to be found, really. It's all quiet there, and it looks like it'll stay that way for the next 5 days. The Hurricane Center not monitoring anything out in the tropics. A day planner for tomorrow. Maybe a shower or two in the afternoon. Most of that should be inland. The rain chance very small at 20%. High temperatures will top out near 90 degrees. Current conditions 84 degrees, and the dew point is at 72. Feels like 90. And tomorrow's high temperatures will be right around 90 degrees. The heat index, though, up near 100 to 102 degrees in the afternoon, at least the early afternoon, before the clouds start to come in and starts to cool us down just a little bit. Nationally, the low pressure area right here, now moving through Missouri. This low pressure area will again track off basically to the east, bringing some heavy rainfall into Ohio and Indiana. And the attendant cold front that you see slicing through southeast Arkansas, well, that is going to be sliding down into North Georgia tomorrow. And you can see severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for northern portions of Mississippi, West Tennessee, western portions of Kentucky tonight. And out west, it's the same old song and dance out there with problems with fire weather. Fire weather remains, the danger remains high out west into Washington, Oregon, and also into Idaho, all the way down into Utah. Well, for highs tomorrow, it'll be rather cool into the mid-70s for a high in Minneapolis, 74, 78 in Chicago for a high. That's nice. Boston tops out at 70 degrees tomorrow, while the southern portion of Texas will get into the mid-90s. Boaters tomorrow, southeast winds turn to the southwest, 10 knots. A light chop out there. Water temperature still very warm, 90 degrees now, and the UV index at a 12. We'll see partly cloudy skies tomorrow for area beaches. The chance for rain tomorrow very small, 20%. We go to 40 in the morning. Shower activity scattered about near the coast on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then a better chance for showers and storms scattered about over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. High temperatures will be in the upper 80s to low 90s. We are looking for the return of those afternoon and evening storms too over the weekend as high pressure once again noses northward. Alan will be back with primetime headlines right after this.
Another pair of satisfied emotions. Looks to me like elation and maybe some amazement. It's part of the Honda Summer Spectacular event experience. You could say satisfaction comes standard here, just like the Honda Accord comes standard with a luxurious, roomy interior. All at the Honda Summer Spectacular event.
We see it all the time.
Visit your local Honda dealer and test drive the Honda Accord, 2018's North American Car of the Year.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With Guaranteed Acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TruStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TruStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with Guaranteed Acceptance whole life insurance through TruStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system could make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now, SoClean.com has released the world's first automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs and bacteria. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer, risk-free for 30 days. Just call 800-604-0398.
The SoClean works, and it's a really effective product, and I couldn't believe how easy it was to use.
SoClean works on all popular CPAP machines and masks, destroying CPAP germs and bacteria without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and walk away. Voila! Sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited-time offer. Call now, 800-604-0398. Or visit SoClean.com today.
I used to dread getting up and going to work.
I was done with the corporate grind.
I was tired of being a starving artist.
And I started looking around for a business that I believed in, and I kind of wanted to do something a little more green.
My SCORE mentor helped me take the first step.
He helped me create a business plan and helped me implement it.
They've really taught me how to think big.
SCORE helped me to make the unimaginable possible, all for free. I'm here because of SCORE.
I'm here because of SCORE.
Get your free business mentor at SCORE.org.
Checking primetime headlines, day 3 of the jury deliberations in the financial crimes trial of Paul Manafort wrapped up with no verdict. President Trump's former campaign chair could face life in prison if convicted for tax and bank fraud. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the latest from the federal courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia.
Day 3 of jury deliberations in Paul Manafort's federal trial ended with no verdict. Jurors are taking their time to work through 18 felony counts of tax and bank fraud to decide if he's guilty or not guilty.
The jury announced that they're going to continue to deliberate starting tomorrow morning at 9:30. Mr. Manafort's very happy to hear that, and he thinks it was a very good day.
The 6 women and 6 men spent day 3 of deliberations poring over nearly 400 exhibits. Prosecutors say the evidence shows Manafort defrauded banks out of millions of dollars and claim he failed to pay the IRS on millions more. The former 2016 Trump campaign chairman is accused of allegedly stashing $60 million in 31 offshore bank accounts. Prosecutors on special counsel Robert Mueller's team claim Manafort allegedly committed the crimes before his work for the president.
I think it's a very sad day for our country.
As the jury deliberated Friday, President Trump weighed in on the federal trial.
He happens to be a very good person, and I think it's very sad what they've done to Paul Manafort.
The jury was instructed to only consider what was presented in court, but it's possible jurors who were not sequestered over the weekend could have heard the president's support for Manafort. Manafort's defense welcomed the support of the president, who also wouldn't rule out a potential pardon for his former campaign chairman. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, outside the federal courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia.
President Trump is following up on his own decision to revoke former CIA Director John Brennan's security clearance with a challenge on Twitter, of course. Trump calls for Brennan to bring a lawsuit against the administration. In his post, the president wrote, legal action would allow for access to Brennan's records, emails, and texts. He went on to call special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian election meddling a rigged witch hunt. During an interview on NBC's Meet the Press Sunday, Brennan said he is looking forward to a lawsuit against the Trump administration for taking away his security clearance last week. The Pope is breaking his silence about the sexual abuse scandal in the Catholic Church. In a statement released by the Vatican, the Pope said, quote, if one member suffers, all suffer. Together with it, he went on to say, these words of St. Paul forcefully echo in my heart as I acknowledge once more the suffering endured by many minors due to sexual abuse. The statement comes after a Pennsylvania grand jury detailed the sexual abuse of more than 1,000 children by hundreds of priests for decades. This weekend, the Pope will travel to Ireland, which dealt with sexual abuse in 2009. Pope Francis is expected to meet with victims during his visit. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.